Chapter 3 Part 1. My family didn't care about me, and now CarX was the only person in my life who seemed to care, but in the worst possible way. The obsession, the control, the dominance, everything about him made me feel small and insignificant. Yet, I couldn't bring myself to hate him completely. I hated the way he treated me, but a part of me hated myself for not being able to fight him off. "You're thinking about your family again," CarX continued, his voice softening just slightly. "Do they even care about you? Your mother, your so-called siblings?" He smirked. "They've abandoned you. I'm the only one who truly sees you for what you are. The only one who can give you what you need." He reached out, brushing a lock of hair from my face. "Let me take care of you, Eva. Let me be the one who decides what happens next." I felt my throat tighten, and for a moment, I wanted to scream. I didn't want him to be the one who decided everything for me. But the words were stuck, and all I could do was sit there, frozen under his gaze. I could feel the weight of his expectations crushing me, his need to control every part of my life seeping into my bones. Suddenly, the sound of the doorbell rang through the house, and CarX's expression shifted. He stood up, his movements deliberate as he glanced back at me. "Stay here," he ordered, his voice cold. "I'll handle this." Without waiting for a response, he turned and walked toward the door. I sat there, my heart pounding in my chest, wondering who could be visiting us now. CarX's mother, Olivia, entered the room first, her presence as commanding as ever. She was tall and elegant, her dark hair swept into a sophisticated bun. Olivia had always carried an air of superiority, but there was an unsettling darkness behind her perfectly manicured facade. She smiled at CarX, a smile that never reached her eyes. "CarX," she greeted him, her voice as cold as ice. "I see you're still keeping Eva close." She shot me a look of disdain, as if I were nothing more than an inconvenience to her perfect world. "Of course, Mother," CarX replied, his voice laced with impatience. "She's not going anywhere." Olivia's eyes flickered to me for a moment before turning back to her son. "You know," she said, "you're getting a bit too obsessed with her. It's unhealthy." Her tone was calm, but there was an edge to it, as if she were talking about a child with a dangerous toy. "You need to remember the bigger picture." "The bigger picture?" CarX's voice darkened. "What bigger picture, Mother? You always have your plans, but this is about me. About what I want." He stepped toward her, his anger barely contained. "You don't get to control this. Not anymore." I watched the exchange in silence, feeling like an outsider in my own life. CarX's relationship with his mother had always been strained, but this was different. Olivia had always been cold toward CarX, using him to further her own ambitions. She had a successful career as a businesswoman, but she had never been emotionally available to her son. It wasn't just CarX I had to worry about, it was Olivia too. She was part of the web of control, the puppet master who had her own agenda. "I'm just saying," Olivia continued, unfazed by CarX's tone, "that if you keep pushing her like this, you'll break her. And once she's broken, you won't be able to use her anymore. You know that, right?" CarX's jaw clenched, and I could see the conflict in his eyes. He didn't like being questioned, especially not by his mother. But there was something else there, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. I wanted to run. I wanted to escape. But CarX's eyes never left me. He stepped closer, his hand grabbing mine, pulling me toward him as though I were a lifeless doll. "Don't listen to her," he whispered in my ear. "She doesn't understand us. She never will." Flashback: the truth behind Eva's family. As CarX and his mother continued their conversation, my mind drifted back to a time long before CarX ever became part of my life. I remembered the day my mother sold me to him like it was yesterday. I had been nothing but a pawn in her desperate attempts to climb out of the pit she had dug herself into. My real mother had been someone else, someone I had never known, but the woman who raised me, who claimed to be my mother, was a cruel, calculating woman who didn't care about anyone but herself. I had been just a child when she sold me to CarX. I had no idea what was happening, no idea that my mother had made a deal with him to secure her own survival. She had promised me to CarX for a sum of money, believing that he could provide a better life for me, an illusion that I was only beginning to unravel. CarX's father, Alexander, had been just as manipulative. A successful businessman with a dark reputation, he had used his power to control everyone in his life, including CarX.